Managers of global supply chains have navigated a storm of unprecedented uncertainty in recent years, grappling with everything from ongoing global conflicts to ever shifting trade policies. In this volatile landscape, the teams responsible for planning, procurement, manufacturing, logistics, and even last mile delivery now have a powerful new ally to help them manage cost, enhance quality, and elevate service levels. Enter Agentic AI, the latest advancement in artificial intelligence that enables autonomous decision making and task execution, unlocking various of capabilities ultimately boosting efficiency and resilience in global trade. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Analytics Insight podcast, where we talk about the ever evolving tech space. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. Now, to date, AI in the global trade is helping leading edge organizations improve operation like demand forecasting, supply planning, inventory management, predictive maintenance, and the list is never ending. Now, looking ahead, agentic AI will expand these capabilities, bolstering resilience by helping organizations predict and mitigate future supply disruptions with limited human intervention. Let's welcome Sunil Kharbanda, founder and COO at Trezix, to help us understand how agentic AI is transforming global trade and, of course, how it is also addressing some foundational issues that can make trade management into a more agile and a responsive system. Hi, Sunil, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening, Priya. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on this call.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you on our podcast today, Sunil. And of course, agentic AI is definitely the buzzword. Probably this year we have heard a lot about agentic AI and its impact across different industries. But of course, we are going to discuss about its role in the global trade and how we will be progressing ahead in the coming years. But before we get into our core discussion and conversation, let's start by telling our listeners more about Trezix. So, if you could help us understand more about the company and its specialization, it would be great.
Sure. So, as I always say that, as Trezix, we are a platform which orchestrates the global trade, helps importers and exporters to execute their process, their execution, import or export execution in a digital form, and also having all their stakeholders together, wherein helping everybody working on single source of truth, everybody working on getting more efficiencies, cost savings, and more control, across the whole chain. Now, why did we, started working on this? All of us as founders, we come from ERP industry. We've seen a huge amount of automation. We've seen a huge amount of work in the ERP industry. And somewhere we felt that import export never had a line of digitization and it was so fragmented that most of the importers exporters were really losing their sleep in terms of compliance, in terms of people being efficient, credibility across globe, because this is cross border, this is not within a country. So that's where we felt that there needs to be something somewhere which basically digitizes this whole process across all the stakeholders. And largely, if you look at importers and exporters, their actual execution of the process, 70% is outside their organization. So how do they manage, fragmented system, fragmented information, different countries, different norms, different documentation, different calculation? How do they really get, all this visibility together? So that's where we started working on this whole framework of creating a digital platform for importers and exporters, which basically so that they can see the light, as I said, in terms of visibility, cost savings, profitability, and efficiency. So that's what Trezix is all about. And obviously, as a platform, you always keep growing because, there are different ways every country will look at, from the bilateral perspective or, their balance of trade or the quality perspective. And I think that's what is coming up now. Every country feels that export is the fourth pillar of their economy. And imports, they need to consume a lot of quality if they're getting things imported from India, China, Mexico, so on and so forth. So I think those are the areas, and obviously being compliant, the way you basically trading, one is trading goods as well as on top of that paying money for it. I think that's the balance across all these pillars is required. So that's where if you look at, there's a lot of focus in terms of countries getting their balance of trade correct, getting their compliances in the right position across the borders, and obviously consuming quality and giving quality to the other countries. So that's where, and we did envisage this when Indian government started looking at a digital trail, a single window, and focusing on so much in terms of the quality of goods we are basically exporting into different countries. So that's where we envisage that yes, there is a requirement for a platform which basically takes care of all this from a process standpoint, and also getting all the stakeholders on the same platform so that everybody is gaining the same level of visibility and efficiencies.
Great, that's a fantastic overview of Trezix, Sunil, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm really glad to, know more about Trezix and also like a platform that is orchestrating global trade and driving innovation in this space. It really sets the stage for our discussion today. Having said that, we would also like to know more about you, Sunil. You have over 3 decades of rich industry experience, and you have mastered the art of scaling businesses, driving customer centric growth, and transforming complex portfolios into high profit ventures. So, how has your journey been till date? What exactly is your role towards Trazic, and what do you think the future would be like?
So every time, Priya, I think about journey, I feel it has just started. It's just the beginning. Talking about my experience, I started selling MRP, I would say in 1996 when MRP was something which was very new. There was nothing called an ERP. It was more towards manufacturing, resource planning. That's where people used to ask questions about efficiency, process, and there used to be a lot of Japanese fundamental principles which everybody started using it, and that's where I started selling that. And then obviously I got into Oracle. I saw the whole world of how ERP has evolved, and you start working with different processes in different companies, different verticals. You go to oil and gas, you go to automobiles, you go to FMCG, CPG, so you work across the whole. And that's where my whole passion really, customer facing in terms of being there when it is sold, when we are solutioning for the customer, when we are implementing the solution, what we basically say really comes out as an advantage or a benefit for the customer. So I think that's where I think I've spent a lot of my life with ERP, and majorly, have loved the whole journey in terms of being with the customer, understanding their processes, understanding their pain points, working with them in hand, shoulder to shoulder in terms of achieving those, milestones for the customer. So I think I've had a great journey in terms of my past, but I think for me, when I hung my corporate boots in 2018, I again felt that, there's another journey which has started for me where whatever I've learned across my different roles in different organizations, I think it's time to build something and different to showcase those qualities as well as, do something more out of the box in terms of how organizations can be run in the future.
Definitely, and I'm really glad to understand your entire journey, and it's truly inspiring to hear how your role has evolved and the kind of impact you have been able to make within the organization. Moving ahead, now, of course, we're talking about global trade and the role of AI and the emerging technologies. Now, overall, leaders aren't just implementing AI tools, they are pioneering entirely new operating models around autonomous decision making. The radical premise is that agentic AI systems will make an increasing number of decisions while humans make the decisions that matter most. So, preserving human agency and expertise where it is most crucial, by the way. So, this performance gap is, widening rapidly, and these transformation-driven organizations are creating new business capabilities and fundamentally changing what's possible at enterprise scale. So, can you share your perspective on how global trade is evolving in the age of AI? and why agentic AI is such a significant inflection point today.
So, see, the global trade obviously, I would say, was complex, is becoming more complex, and there's a lot of simplicity required around it. And, one thing I really want to make it, very clear from my perspective that this trade or this business, or you'd say this vertical or horizontal, whatever you say, I think we'll always have a human in loop. And you very rightly put it through that, the humans will do something beyond what, an AI can do from any perspective, be it in the native core or be it in the, agentic part of it. But the biggest thing is wherever you will have a lot of regulatory compliances, you would need a human in loop. And for that human in loop to basically validate, take decisions in terms of how the whole machinery is gonna move, agentic AI will play a huge amount of role in terms of getting all those informations together, getting up from different sources together and creating an intelligent pod for the human to take it to the next level, of executing that transaction. So it's gonna totally change the whole, way it used to be done. Like, say, let me give you an example of what we have done with our one of our agents, which is called Easy Comply. Now, what it does is everybody has to go through a buying decision when you do an import, and then you keep looking for, is this country, if I look at five countries, do I have an FTA? Do I have any sanctions? Do this supplier have any sanctions? Do they have any quotas? If they can, I can import from there or not. What are the kind of documentations I would need? What is the number of documentations in terms of today from in pharma, from a labeling perspective, there are three, notifications for labeling, but you need to look at all, and whatever is applicable to you, you choose that. Now, if you start doing all this, you will never be so efficient to take a decision from where I should buy. That is my role. Now, with agentic AI, you do it all. You just bring the end outcome in front of Sunil and say, hey, Sunil, take a buying decision, which country you really want to buy from. Now, this makes both smarter, the system smarter and the human smarter. And the kind of efficiencies and the kind of accuracy you achieve and you become more faster, that's where, the business will thrive on. And that's where I would say the humans will thrive on. Because, for making this kind of a complex decision, you really need something which is going to make it easier for you for taking that decision. So agentic AI as a whole will totally change the whole shape, the way business is done, and it impacts your very fundamental components of business. Like, if I take this decision of which country I should, and I have the whole map in front of me, then my whole, then it touches my landed cost. It touches my time to market. It touches my profitability. It touches my cash flow. So every fundamental of the business is being touched with just one, way of presenting things from a process standpoint.
Definitely, and I think that was an absolutely a very powerful perspective, because the way AI and especially agentic AI is reshaping the foundations of a global trade really highlights how intelligence and autonomy are becoming the new currencies of competitiveness. Also, having said that, we will need human in the loop, definitely, be it today or in the coming years. And it's really interesting to see how this entire shift is not just about efficiency, it's more about reimagining collaboration, innovation, and trust across borders. And I think you rightly mentioned and that it will change how business is done. So when you say that it will change how business is done, I think if you talk about the trade industry, it is definitely at a very exciting juncture, because for decades, the trade industry overall has been viewed as a very paper based, heavily rule defined, and a manual process sector. Today, however, it is making rapid strides toward automation driven by the combined efforts of regulators, bankers, even fintechs involved. So we have new regulatory frameworks coming in, new laws are being enacted that is encouraging more push towards digitization and automation everywhere. So while you help us understand that, we it will change how business is done. So can you justify that or help us understand through some real world examples of how agentic AI can be applied in the different verticals of trade, whether it's supply chain orchestration or cross border payments?
So let's look at, before I get to that, I think AI is changing a lot of things, right? AI is changing best practices to next practices, right? There is a lot of disruption in terms of, consumption of why should I consume best practice? Let me look at the next practice, which will help me to do that. And that's where all the functions are evolving. Now, you asked me a question about, the whole supply chain, right? The kind of visibility agents will bring on to the table in terms of where, if just a small example, I push my, goods into the port, from port visibility to visibility in the sea, visibility in the air, visibility on rail, to my warehouse. I can actually time it and look at it how it basically shrinks the time to market. Because if, let's say, I have goods today, I get the intelligence that if I get iron ore from Congo at 5% FTA, but I get that same iron ore from Australia at 7%. Australia to a particular country is 30 days, where Congo will take 55 days. Now that's the intelligence I need, let's say, as a supply chain officer. I need to see how my goods will move from, one is the landed cost, absolutely how my goods will move. But what will be my differentiation between this 2% and the time to market? So let's say I have to basically produce and value add goods, which wherein, iron ore is just a raw material for me. And I need to push that, let's say, in the month of December. And I'm getting goods from Australia. It's just 2% more, but I'm getting on 30th of November, and my deadlines are 31st. So look at the chain, look at the chain of visibility I'm getting, which is securing what? Which is securing my credibility, which is securing my costs, which is also, securing the way I do business, or the way I import stuff, or the way I deliver that particular finished good to my customer. So now the whole chain of visibility can be seen by me, my organization, and even my customer organization. I can give that visibility. So there is security. One is, the whole transaction is secure, and there's a huge amount of confidence in the system that, this is how things will work, A, B, C, D, because that's how you model it. You get that information, and you then run the model, into execution, and the execution into reality. That's where the whole confidence AI and agentic AI will bring in, wherein it will forecast that information, where it will allow you to take that decision, where you can make good, I would say, comparison between, what impacts you at the end of the day. And with that impact, you are taking a decision which will help you in terms of your credibility, in terms of your visibility, and in terms of the whole chain being more confident, of basically looking at how the business is conducted.
Definitely. And I think it's really incredible to see how agentic AI is moving beyond theory and actually reshaping the traditionally complex areas of the global trade. And the idea that, these systems can dynamically coordinate, self learn, and optimize decisions in real time really highlights the potential of these AI agent models in global trade. It also makes me think that, what the next leap could be like. What are different more enhancements that we could see, that probably we can see more of improved transparency, or even, probably having a fully autonomous trade ecosystem.
Great question, Priya. I think that reminds me of, what we built with one of the steel customers, and I would love to give that example. I think that's available on our customer success video also, but it's a great example. We call it easy sell. A lot of things when we do in our domestic markets, we have, something called a CRM. We get inquiries, all the quotes are generated from the system, and, it's a very simple and an easy kind of order to cash, right? But there are so many complexities when it comes to, exports, right? Where you don't know where the inquiry is coming from. You might have a distributor, you might not have a distributor. Everything happens on Excel sheet. The agreed contracts happen on Excel sheet. Then there's a process of a payment instrument, which is letter of credit, right? That letter of credit is governed under the International Chamber of Commerce, codes, right? And then it gets into a pre-shipment documentation and then post-shipment documentation. Now, this customer was doing everything on Excel. There was no way in terms of collating the all the Excels which you have created, and the information was not getting right into the letter of credit. So what was happening was obviously the goods reach, of the particular distributor, no documentation, he's paying damages, credibilities. There's a lot of damage on credibility, and there's a lot of damage on the project, right? We simplified this. We said we will use the whole process of agentic AI and LLMs, wherein we will get the agreed contract into our system where they have to and get all variant pricing, everything into our system where they are just doing everything through a drop down. It will create the history. When the contracts get agreed, the system will know that the contract is agreed. It's going to put all information to into the letter of credit. The draft letter of credit will go to the customer, go to their banks, so on and so forth. The whole process is agentic now. With the whole process, they've unlocked almost 2 to 3% of their, monthly cash flows, which are in three-digit crores. So that's where the whole, I would say, piece of the AI, LLMs, and agentic AI is really helping customers to be more faster, to be more confident with the system, and obviously to be more credible across the borders.
Definitely, and I think that is really important and needed in this era where we are rapidly advancing the different variations of AI that we are seeing, and it's also transforming the entire world economy, reshaping how actually work is defined, how we are creating value, and what opportunities, more new opportunities we can distribute across different societies. My next follow-up question is something related to what you said, but from an SME point of view. For SMEs, I think AI presents a very powerful tool because that is actually helping them with data driven insights, personalized customer engagement, and it is also empowering them to compete globally. Accordingly, I think tools like, sourcing agents have the potential to change and transform cross-border trade game around the world. And I think that's really important for businesses of all sizes to thrive. So how do you see agentic AI enabling these SMEs in new emerging markets to access global trade opportunities more effectively?
I think sourcing is a great example, and thanks for that. And I will talk about what we've done is we've created an agent which basically goes and looks for, as I said, you want to really import something which you're going to value add and put it, let's say, in United States. I'm just giving a hypothetical example, and you're gonna get it from maybe different countries. You have an opportunity. The agent goes and basically gets all the information about the suppliers across, maybe you can have five, six, seven, eight, 10, whatever you want, right? It goes and basically looks at what's the kind of freight cost. It also looks at, do you really have FTAs, free trade agreements, or you have a different kind of a trade agreement, bilateral trade agreement with that particular country, and it immediately puts in front of you all the costs in terms of if I'm gonna get it from China, it's going to be this cost. If I'm going to get it for Vietnam, it's going to be this cost, A, B, C, D, all the five costs. And I can take a decision in a jiffy that, yeah, okay, I'm going to get it from. And it also tells you, from, as mentioned earlier, also from logistics perspective, yeah, how much time it's going to take, to get the goods into your country. What are the kind of documentation compliances are required from the perspective that, you need to fulfill, from importing those goods into your country. And, you have the decision available within half an hour, right? Or within 15-20 minutes. It is all in front of you because the system is connected to International Trade Council. The system is connected to International Chamber of Commerce. The system is connected to customs. There are a whole set of regulatory bodies it is real time connected to, where all these data is being pulled from intelligently by, because the agent is learning what you basically want to look at, what kind of data you want to look at, and it brings that data and pushes the whole decision making in front of you. So sourcing is a great example, where SMEs can really benefit. And I think in future they can also benefit in terms of agents coming on where to sell, from the whole market perspective, that, what's going to be their landed cost across. Let's say, for example, today for one of our customers, we do landed cost across 139 countries because we're connected to those customs. I can tell them that, if you're pushing your stuff to Thailand or you're pushing your stuff to UK, then this is how your landed cost gonna look like. So I can take decision that, how, if my landed cost gonna look like that, then what should be my selling price, right? So agentic's gonna change the whole world in terms of getting all the relevant data. Now, the data has to be relevant. You need to basically, from cross-border trade perspective, global trade perspective, you need to be really talking to the right regulatory bodies and regulatory portals to get that data. But, agentic can do that magic and is doing it, today also. Some of our customers are using it in terms of, taking their decisions faster. Now they have different parameters of decision, right? So, and they get those alternatives. Earlier it used to be, I'm going to do on freight L1, T1, right? Nobody used to think from the perspective how it's going to impact my business, right? Because an L1 can be 100 rupees, but a T1 can be 45 days or 50 days. But a L2 can be 110 rupees, but maybe 15, 20 days. Now, that holistic way of looking at the impact across business is possible with agentic AI.
Definitely. And I think it's really important at the end of the day that how technology is empowering these small players to think bigger and tap into international opportunities and predict the demand in these markets that they have never operated before. So essentially, I think agentic AI is acting as a bridge and it's connecting the local innovation with global possibilities. And I think that could be a real game changer for inclusive economic growth.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. Having said that, one last question for you, Sunil, is how do you envision the next decade of trade powered by these AI agents?
So first is that next, I would say next decade of trade's gonna lie a lot in terms of how you really look credible across border. How do you really focus on quality cross border? And how do you really gonna look at your whole permutation combination of your markets as well as your outlook for your business? In the broader term, these will be three, four pillars. What agentic will do is make it very simple and easy for you, right? In terms of getting you all the information what you really want to take a decision. And that's where, SMEs will have to adopt a lot of technology. I think at this point in time, that's one area I feel is pretty much missing, from an Indian context. I think we have got a huge amount of market to cater to, but I think there has to be some adoption in terms of technology. There has to be some adoption to becoming more smarter and faster, because that's how SME is going to grow into, larger organization. And I think there is, with agentic AI, it's going to open up the market a lot, because now you may be getting information which was not available to you, which was maybe hidden from your perspective. I think that it will open up. It will also open up a lot of, I would say, from the financial perspective, it's going to open up a lot of things cross border. So today, if you're looking at how you're going to get, I would say, financed from your country perspective, it's gonna open up globally, because AI and agentic AI gonna open up, all the permutations and combination for you. And I see huge amount of competition across the globe, because, as I said, every country wants export to be the fourth pillar, because they're making something or the other which was not visible yesterday. But with the whole emergence of AI and emergence of data availability today, I think it's gonna get more competitive. So I think use of adoption of technology as soon as possible, and looking at AI more from an assistant perspective than from the a different perspective of how AI will change the environment around you. AI will surely change the environment around you, but I think more in the terms of assisting you to take right decisions, assisting you to get to the right markets, more abundance, and that's AI will do in global trade. And I think it's gonna also disrupt a lot of models, traditional models of financing, traditional models of logistics, last mile. It's going to disrupt all of them, right? And it's going to get more visibility end to end. When I say, I was discussing with someone, in a respective country, and he says, I don't see at this point in time that why I should not talk to my customers directly, why I should go through different third party systems, because I today agentic can do that for me. So a lot of these bottlenecks, or a lot of these middle layers will go away, and you will have direct relation with your business. So that's going to open up a lot of profitability. That's going to open up a lot of areas to do more business. So I feel net agentic is going to really assist this global trade to become more simpler, faster, stronger, and confident.
I agree with you, Sunil. I think agentic AI and global trade has the potential to empower teams across the organization to improve processes, manage cost, and react to changes in real time without the need for constant human oversight. We definitely need human in the loop, that's inevitable. And I think we see a future where agentic AI will not only predict supply chain disruptions, but also facilitate proactive solutions, transforming how organizations respond to these constant new challenges. And as businesses prepare themselves to embrace this future, the potential for agentic AI to unlock unprecedented value and drive competitive advantage makes it a game changer technology for organizations to adopt it as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Sunil, for taking out the time and effort to be on a podcast today and helping us understand that agentic AI is definitely the need of the hour, and it will empower organizations to create a more resilient supply chains and equipping organizations to succeed in an increasingly volatile global landscape. Thank you so much for coming on a podcast today. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Great. This is for
Thank
our listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion around the role of agentic AI in global trade. Don't forget to share it with your network and let us know what is something you want to us to talk about in our next episode on a podcast. Until then, you can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.